it's Meg Ray, and in this tutorial we will be building a Pegasus thanks to the popular vote in my recent community post, which is surprising because that's actually the one I was most considering on doing myself anyway. Before we begin, here's a list of all of the blocks you'll need for this statue. Of course you can switch out the materials you're using to be whatever you want. I think this is a little bit more than what you actually need, but it's nice to have an estimate. So let's begin with the middle layer. It's going to be built up 8 blocks from the ground to start. If you want extra room for a base, you'll probably want to add that before. And as you can see, I have a couple of the lengths marked off, so it's going to be fairly long and probably just about as tall, maybe a little bit taller than that, once we get the wings in place. Now we're going to move on to the next layer out, and for clarity, there is an extra block that you'll want to use for the eye. I'm just using black concrete on mine, and there's a couple of stairs that are going to be facing outward on the head too. The one on the lower end where the nose is will be a regular stair, and then the one right next to the eye is going to be upside down. I did the stairs like that on the eyes because then you can actually see them from the front as well as from the side, so it's kind of cool. The left side is exactly the same as the right, except for a couple extra pieces to the mane on this side. That's really just for extra flair. It's not vital that you have it there. Just wanted to point that out. On the next layer, we're going to be adding in the legs and beginning the wings. Now, I have my Pegasus doing a trot with the leg positions. So if you want to make it just standing still or whatever, you can do that on these layers. I did use a lot of extra stairs and slabs to kind of smooth off the shapes of the horse, but you really don't have to do that. It really just depends on how smooth you want it to look. You're also welcome to fill in all these hollow spaces. I only did that to help you conserve blocks if you're building it in survival, but if it's easier for you to just fill it in, then you can do that too. We have just a couple more layers to do to finish fleshing out the muscles on the actual horse, and then after that we'll just be focusing on the wings. But I don't want you to feel like messing one layer up, especially these ones, will mess up your whole statue. So don't get discouraged if you get one little block out of place. It will be okay. To be quite honest, you could take a step back at any time and just determine for yourself whether you think it looks okay or not. Starting with this layer, layer 6, both sides are going to look exactly the same, just flipped. To make this video a little less dizzying, I'm going to show me building it on one side, but don't forget to work on both at the same time. Then you can memorize a shape that you had just built and just duplicate it. Even though it's flipped, you can still use that muscle memory to your advantage. And if you didn't notice, I'm not using extra stairs and slabs to smooth out the wings on my build, just to make it a little bit easier for you, but you're more than welcome to try adding in your own details. I actually tried adding some details on mine after the fact, and I didn't like it as well, but really it's up to you and whatever you think will look better. On these wings layers, it's a little more confusing because sometimes they'll be directly on top of another layer and sometimes they're just going to be floating in air, so just pay close attention to where the previous layer was in order to place the next layer. There are 15 layers total for this statue, so take all the time you need to finish building this out, and at the end of the video I can show you some ways we can display this statue. Well, hopefully you were able to build this okay without any trouble. Like I said earlier in the video, if you did want to add a base to it, here's something that I have done just to kind of experiment. The space is actually about 4 blocks high, and you can see a little better if I start flying up. But yeah, it's going to have to be pretty big to kind of offset the actual statue, and I'm not sure exactly how long this is, but I think it extends about 1 or 2 blocks off the edges, so it's probably around 33, 34 blocks long. I'm not sure exactly. But yeah, that's one idea for a base, just to kind of have it standing up on a pedestal. Over here, I did make a different version. And with this Pegasus, I actually just did the whole thing in diorite, except for the mane and the tail. I did leave that as andesite. And like I mentioned before, if you did want to change the position of the legs, you can do that very easily on that one layer. So on this one, I actually made both of the back legs the exact same, and I changed the front legs a little bit from that one to be a little bit straighter. And I think I might have had to adjust this chest area too, because it was sticking out a little too much once I changed the leg positions. You can really just tweak it until it looks good to you, but that's just something that I've done. Now this space over here, this is a different style of a base. I actually made it with a platform that you can actually walk up into this, and you can see exactly how big these are. These are pretty big. But I think the statue does look really cool and much more completed with the extra pedestal, especially when you take a step back like this. Well, that's all I have for you for this tutorial. Thank you so much for watching, and if you have any other ideas for a future tutorial, feel free to let me know and I will definitely consider it. But until then, feel free to check out some of my other tutorials. I have quite a few out there. In the very least, I hope this magical Pegasus will find its way to your world someday. Bye!